Hello guys, DJBawlzy here. Today I'm going to do some reviewing of the Game Awards that happened just recently. I've kind of taken a brief look over most of the categories and the people who've won, and I have some opinions on some of them. I also have watched and listened to a lot of things like Total Biscuit and their podcast, and just a whole bunch of other places and people and streamers give their opinions. And it's been really interesting to hear sides of things I never knew about, and to hear, the good and the bad sides of every argument. So I felt I would just, for something different, give you the my input, how I feel about some of these. There's a lot of categories on here. I don't know if I'll get to them all, or maybe I'll probably bridge this into a couple recordings so it's not completely boring and repetitive every time. Before I get started on that, I just want to mention that a lot of these games you see in here, I plan to bring into the channel, and so look forward to that. If there's any of these that you want to see me play though, please let me know also in the comments below, so that I can get right on that for you guys. Okay, so we're going to start with the big one, Game of the Year. As you can see, I thought it'd be nice for you guys to see what I'm looking at here too. So Bloodborne, Fallout 4, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, Super Mario Maker, and our winner, The Witcher 3. I've put about 20 hours or so into The Witcher 3 so far, and I've enjoyed every single minute of it. So I really think this one does deserve it. It's been fantastic. The story that's in there, the music, even the side quests don't feel repetitive and boring. Some of them have really interesting and creative mini stories behind them, and meta games and stuff like that. It's just overall cohesive, and you don't feel like you're playing a game or grinding. You really don't. Moving up, Super Mario Maker, which I briefly got a chance to play on my Wii U. I haven't played it too much, but it's awesome and a great idea, but I'm not sure it compares to everything else in this list, just because I think it's kind of limited. It's a good creative game. I feel like Minecraft's the same thing. There's a lot of stuff in there where it's basic mechanics, and the rest of it is up for you to just create and have fun. And that's really all they are. So they're more art styles to me than actual games, if that makes sense. Metal Gear Solid 5, I don't believe should be on here. While it looks and plays pretty well, the game itself was just so fucking boring. The story was meh. I didn't even get through the game because I got so tired and bored of it. It's one of those open world games for me that just drags on and drags on. So I watched a video of kind of how the story ended, and honestly was let down compared to what else they're capable of. I know what they could do story-wise, and I don't know if the recent split between them, by the way, fuck Konami, just gotta throw that in there, it's obligatory at this point. I don't know if this split was happening while making this game, but I don't think Kojima got to put his full into this game. Story-wise and stuff, it gets really crazy, but it just didn't interest me enough, and the gameplay just killed it for me. I got so bored I didn't even want to continue playing. And going right up with that, Fallout 4, which I have not gotten to play, but all the reviews I've read, aside from it being a Bethesda game and being really glitchy, which is not a surprise, is that it's got so much to do with no real direction. So there's a lot of things you can do that are fun and cool, but in terms of a story, in terms of character development, in terms of doing something with a goal, there's just none of that in there. You don't get that sense of achievement, which I will use to lead into the last one, which I think is the only true contender on this list, which is Bloodborne. I finally got Bloodborne about 2 months ago, I want to say, with my PlayStation 4, and it was fantastic. It was a gorgeous game. The weapon system was really, related to Dark Souls, of course, but it was still really cool. And kind of different, the way you could change your weapons. You have a melee and a gun, those kinds of ideas. Art direction wise, character wise, best character design I've seen. But that's nothing new from them because their Dark Souls bosses are usually pretty fantastic. And so it's nice to see them kind of drop it in a new world. The Victorian Gothic style that they used was just amazing. It was breathtaking at some points. And it was really good. While it frustrated me a lot, I kept playing, and I think that's the biggest thing that kind of attributes to how good of a game it is that I got frustrated, I got upset, I'd have to set it down for a while, but I'd always come back. There was something that just drove me to keep playing and having fun, but driving towards that end. There was something that made me want to keep playing to get the whole story, to beat the bosses, and when you beat the bosses, it's like, woo, and you like celebrate and grab a beer and friends and post all over, you know, Facebook and all that stuff. You get such an achievement when you defeat those bosses in these games, and so that's something that's really helpful and helps you feel like you're having a purpose when you're playing that game. So, overall with this, I agree. Witcher 3, definitely deserves it. Let's go to Dev of the Year. So, from the top, we got Bethesda, which this year, man, like I said, I'm not huge on the Fallout 4 idea, but I honestly think Bethesda will be a good one to take it in 2016. With the games they have coming out, you know, in the spring and even further on, I think they're going to be the biggest contender, if not the winner, of this award next year's round. CD Projekt Red, they're the ones who did The Witcher, so I guess it's kind of fair that they got this one as well. I don't honestly know a whole lot else of what they've done outside of The Witcher, so that's, you know, bad on me. But, you know, just goes hand in hand, they won. These other ones, same thing. They're probably, I feel like they're posted on here just because their games got Game of the Year nominations. And so it's kind of like required that they get both those categories, which I think is kind of weird. I feel like there could be some other, you know, developers that at least deserve a mention, or maybe didn't make one fucking phenomenal game, but made a whole bunch of really good games. So it's kind of weird that they just copy and pasted this shit on over. Let's move on. Best independent game, which I've heard a lot of things, including Total Biscuits, Jesse Cox and them on their show mention, and I actually honestly have to agree with, is this independent category has a lot of games that aren't independent, or they've gotten funding, or, you know, they had help from a developer later on that would kind of push them out of that category. So these first two, Axiom Verge and Her Story, I didn't play a lot. I have Axiom Verge, just have not gotten to it. With all the games coming out that basically kill all your free time, like The Witcher, there's a lot of games I haven't touched yet, and I hate to say that, but it's true. But I've heard amazing things about Axiom Verge. Her Story, I've never even heard of, so I don't know about that. Ori and the Blind Forest, while I don't think that one was fully indie, I'm not quite sure. I don't believe it was. But in terms of a game, gameplay-wise, visuals, music, and the story, like, this story made me fucking cry. I'm not even gonna lie. The beginning sequence of this game was fucking devastating. And so that's really great that it had an impact on the player, and just visually it's stunning. It's one of the best looking games I've seen, and not for the realism factor like some of the other AAA titles, but just the fact that it's artistic in itself and so stylized, and just color palette is gorgeous and contrasting, and it just works so well for that game. And so I'm glad to see it on the title. Rocket League. I'm one of those people that love Rocket League, but I don't think it deserved this title. The other thing I want to mention is I don't remember Psyonix being an indie developer at this point. I don't, and I know a lot of games I have that are theirs, and while they are good and I do enjoy them, I don't remember them being indie, so to speak. And so I don't really consider Rocket League in that. I'll just leave it at that. And then the one that I think should have won this is Undertale. I haven't even finished all of Undertale yet because I'm gonna be posting that on the channel here, a full playthrough of that game. But I've seen people play bits and pieces of it, and I played a good 3 hours on my own when I decided I need to put this on the channel. It is just such an amazing narrative-based game. It's got humor in it. It knows you. It's a game that keeps track of your actions. Everything you do affects everything in the game from beginning to end. And it's so well done for, as you can see on the name here, Toby Fox, somebody who probably most of us have never even heard of. For them to come out with this game that's just so creative and impactful. And like a lot of people have said, like John Bain, this game's gonna stick with us, and it's gonna set a precedent for independent games from here on out. People are gonna look at this game and go, what did this do, and how can we try and do this in our game? And I think that's the most important part of this, is Rocket League did a really good job at bringing something new and fun. It's definitely a good party game and multiplayer, which is later on in this list. But it hasn't done anything impactful. I mean, it's basically another sports game, which they can keep shelling out like the NBA and NHLs for every year. Same fucking thing, just new people and maybe better graphics and better fixes on the controls and whatnot, but basically same damn thing every single year. And Undertale is going to really challenge independent developers to do something different, which is great because that's what indie should do. That's why I love indie titles. They're one of my favorites. I could give two shits about most AAA titles because indie games are not afraid to take that chance. So I think Undertale should have won this whole category. If not that one, Ori, just for its story and for being gorgeous and a true artistic masterpiece. I do believe Rocket League deserves one, but we'll get to that one a bit later on. So let's see, where are we at? Best mobile handheld game, which I want to say two things which I know I read on Polygon and IGN, and I believe John Baines even mentioned this, is they took mobile and handheld and put them together, which doesn't really make sense to me because mobile are these things right here, this stuff, you know, and then your handhelds are consoles in themselves, you know, handheld consoles, and the power that a mobile device versus a console device could do is totally different. But the way you play it is totally different. I mean, mobile devices nowadays only have the touchscreen, and handheld consoles have the buttons, have all that. They can, you know, like the PSP, you can, or the Vita, or both actually, you can get games for both and play them on both, and they integrate really well. Nintendo has shown forever and for long in the past what handheld games should be and handheld consoles should be. That's something they really excel at. But to put that and compare it to mobile games, which, let's be honest, most mobile games nowadays are play to win. That's all they are now. So to put those together is kind of insulting, honestly. Especially when there are actually a good amount of handheld games. A lot of them probably Japanese-born games, but there were a lot of good ones this year. And mobile games just went down the fucking shitter this year. So I'm gonna right off the bat, the one up here at top that I think should have won is Downwell. Downwell was really, really great, really frustrating, but it gave you that sense of achievement. It looked cool. They did a really great thing with the, you know, simple visuals, 8-bit style, but they added color, they added sound, and a challenge, which was great. Fallout Shelter did have a challenge, but one, it was free, and two, it never really changed. I mean, you know what you have to do, and you just do that same thing over and over and over again. And I think Bethesda just used this game as a promotional material for Fallout 4, which gives it less value to me, because that's kind of bullshit. So, you know. I had more fun playing Shelter than I've seen some people play Fallout 4, so that's something. Lara Croft Go 1, which I never played. I've heard it's actually really good. I don't understand the Go games. I really don't. They're just not up my alley. so I'm just gonna skip onto that one. Since Square Enix did it, you know, I'm gonna give them that one because I love Square Enix. So. Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, again, did not play. I would fucking love to play. I know amazing things about the Monster Hunter games, and the one that just came out, I believe, I think 5 just came out, has been amazing and gotten so much praise, and actually has helped console sales immensely, so that's really good to hear. I kind of wish Monster Hunter would have won, because I know that has a great fan base and a lot of fun ideas to it, but that's alright. And do I even really need to say anything to this? A Pac-Man game from Bandai Namco, who, I mean, I'm just gonna move on. Just gonna move on. Best narrative. First story. Again, I don't know anything about, so it won. So I guess if that's something that you guys think I should play, let me know. I don't know anything about it. So yeah, just let me know if you think I would like it. I don't know anything about it. Just looking at this picture here, it kind of looks dumb. So I'm just gonna flat out say that. Life is Strange, a really great game. I didn't get to play it. I've seen a lot of my fellow streamers play it, and it looks really cool and a nice idea. The ending was fucking shit. That was the worst way to end a game like that, and it's actually kind of disrespectful to what they told us we weren't gonna get from the end of the game, and then to go ahead and do it. So that kind of settles bad for me. But overall, as a game, it was really, really cool. No shocker in the narrative category, we have a Telltale game. I think the only one that is good is on here. I haven't finished all of the episodes of Tales of Borderlands, or from the Borderlands, but this game is better than the Borderlands games, if I can fucking talk. It's better than him. It really is. They did a great job with this. They kept true to the story. It gave it some direction, which was nice. The original games kind of, in my opinion, the original games were good in themselves and fun, but more fun when you had someone with you to play and co-op with. Kind of boring when you're by yourself. So Telltale took that world and gave it direction, a better story and purpose, and they did a great job of it. I did start to play The Walking Dead, and those are good, but they're just like sit down and chill games. And aside from The Wolf Among Us, all the other games that I've touched, I've given up in an hour. They're just so bad. Like, don't even get me started on that Minecraft game. Moving on down, Witcher 3 for best narrative. I want to give this a good one, but honestly, it was good. It wasn't phenomenal, and it doesn't really get awards for that. It tells the story kind of meh. Like, you have to, I mean, it's an RPG at heart, and really those don't get good narratives. I mean, they don't have bad stories, so to say. They just need to spread that time out, so the narrative sometimes gets hit or miss in certain spots, or when you're just grinding out side quests. And so to put it in a narrative category is kind of weird in itself to me. Moving on down, Until Dawn. I loved Until Dawn. I haven't gotten to play it fully on my own on my PlayStation 4 yet, but shortly after I saw a couple people stream it, my buddy texted me and told me that he got it. So we went over and played it a bit, and they just did so well with it. I mean, it's your stereotypical teenage slasher, but it's kind of neat to embrace that idea and put you in that timeline and that story and give you the choices. You know, when you're screaming at your TV, well, now here's your chance to actually make that change, not just yell at a monitor. So, and they did it really well. They did it really well. The story wasn't great. A lot of people kind of guessed it before they even got to the end, but the way they told it was just really well, really good, done really well, and they broke it up so you kind of had character story here, and then they break it and cover two other person stories, you know, kind of almost like mini episodes. And that was really nice that they separated all these timelines and played through bits and pieces of each one, and he just came back. Eventually they intertwined, sometimes they came together, broke back up, and it was just really intelligent story design. So I would give Until Dawn that one, just based of what I know, and then Tales from Borderlands would be the next one in that list to me. Best score and soundtrack. So the Co-optional podcast made an interesting mention of this, and that song and soundtrack in games are divided. They really need to be divided. You have ones that use the licensed music, like the winner here, Metal Gear Solid 5. And then you have others that make their own orchestrated music and write it themselves. And so, for me, to see Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain win this overall is kind of like, fuck no. I mean, did it have great licensed music? Yes, but it didn't write any of that music. They just copy and pasted it into their game. And while they chose a great soundtrack, I can't respect that more than some of these others. Fallout 4 was the same on that boat. Halo 5 Guardians, I don't even know. I haven't heard any hype, anybody play it. I know nothing about Halo 5, and I know it had such a build-up before it actually released. So that's kind of funny. Ori and the Blind Forest had beautiful soundtrack, but it was pretty simplistic and gentle and just relaxing. It was more how do I want to put it, feng shui, except for, you know, really key points in the story, and then it built up. The Witcher 3 has good music, but it's not over the top amazing. There are two that I think should deserve it from this category. One is Heavensward. That music in that whole series, well, any Final Fantasy game, let's be honest, any damn Final Fantasy game has some of the best music we'll ever hear in any game. And Heavensward is just fantastic. That almost a cappella theme that they had before they released Heavensward, but kind of was the theme for it, was like heartbreaking and just piercing, and it was gorgeous. And the music continues to evolve and fit the story so well. And so I think that one definitely deserves a mention. Another, which I know a lot of people are gonna probably hate me for, is The Taken King. Well, it's technically an expansion. It's better than the original content and just as big, so I'm gonna consider it another game. But the music from Destiny continues to surprise me. They do such a good job of evolving that, and if you take the first CD and compare it with this recent one, there's such a huge contrast in the styles, and I think that shows the evolution and care they took to make The Taken King such a story and narrative-based game. They really tried their best, and the music reflects that heavily. It's gorgeous, it fits the moods, some of them. If you've played the game, you see the name of the song, you listen to it, you know exactly where it comes in, and you can kind of feel the environment and, you know, get that either sense of dread or that sense of triumph just from the music. And so I definitely think, in terms of non-licensed orchestrated music, the Taken King did fantastic with that. So let's branch onto, let's do one more and then I'll wrap up this one. Best performance, which I think is pretty interesting. It's something that a lot of us don't think about, you know. We play games and we think they're just voiced, but we don't always think about the person that voiced them, or the fact that sometimes we know these people that voiced them, which I think is really awesome. There's a lot of games like Until Dawn, which I don't think it's not on here. Until Dawn actually took the voice actors and superimposed them into the game too, which I thought was really neat and done extremely well. They're immediately identifiable, which is great. Is identifiable? Anyways, so let's go on down the list here. Ashley Birch is Chloe Price from Life is Strange, which was good. She did pretty good. Kind of not as dynamic as a character I would have liked, but more so than the main character. I think the main character in Life is Strange is extremely dull and just oh, this sucks, that sucks, gotta go do stuff, blah blah blah. Whereas she actually showed emotion and dedication, and she got really, really determined and heartfelt there at the end. And so I think she did much better than anybody else in that game, so it's good to see her on here. Camilla Luddington as Lara Croft in Rise of the Tomb Raider, which I haven't played, unfortunately, because of it being an exclusive, so we're just gonna skip that one. But if she's the same one who voiced the Tomb Raider game before this, just based off of that, she did awesome. Moving on to Doug Cockle as Geralt from The Witcher, who did awesome. He did really, really good. His voice is so unique, so like deep and raspy. I mean, it just fit. And even looking at his profile picture here, it just kind of his look fits Geralt even, which is great. But I love that he doesn't sound like really deep and intimidating, but he doesn't sound like a young fighter either. He's got that battle scorn voice to him and that rasp, but it's still deep and kind of commanding. And so I think that was a perfect decision when choosing who to voice Geralt. Moving down, undeniably, Mark Hamill's the Joker is great. We all, let's be honest, if we hear the voice of the Joker, we think Mark Hamill. That's who it's gonna be. He does it just so well and so much better than anybody else. And so I'm glad to see that he's in here. I'm sad he didn't win, but I'm glad to see he's in here. I didn't play Arkham Knight because couldn't because the PC fucked up so badly, but two, just because I don't have any interest. I heard most of it was driving around in the Batmobile, and that was overkill, and that just took away all my interest. And then again, Her Story appears, which won, so that's interesting. It looks, as I keep seeing these pictures, looks incredibly narrative-based, but it looks like the characters are also in the game, and it's maybe a live-action type game. So that's pretty interesting, and if that's the case, then that definitely ranks high in my book. I like those games. I kind of miss some of those games, like Contradiction, where it's actual actors acting through parts of a game. It's really cool to see those. We don't see them much anymore. I forget what we call them exactly as a genre, but it's good to see one of those get some recognition, because we don't see them much anymore. So as for that, I'm gonna wrap it up for now. We will take a look at more of these as time goes on, probably after the holidays. I might sneak one more in there on you guys, but for right now, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If there's any games on here that I haven't played, let me know, and I'll definitely get them on the channel for you and give them a shot. Won't guarantee I'll like them, but I'll give it a shot. And anything else that you want to, offer your opinion on, from what I've said to what other people have said, any of these categories you agree or disagree or think should have been in here, I want to hear that feedback down in the comments below. So please do that, like and share, and I love you guys so much. Keep up with the awesome support. Also, on a quick note, I do have some goodies. I have a Spreadshirt store open with just some shirts and some other random stuff. I'd greatly appreciate it if you guys would buy some of that. I recently bought the shirts, and the quality is fantastic. So price-wise, you pay a little bit more, but you get a good quality product, and I think that's the most. That if I'm going to ask you guys, to buy stuff and offer that stuff to you guys for liking my content, I want to make sure you're getting a quality product that you will use and will last you a while, and that's the biggest thing to me. So I officially opened the Spreadshirt store. Go take a look at it. Links in the description below, and go grab you some stuff. I hope you enjoy it, and I would love to see Twitter pictures of you guys wearing and supporting it. So thank you guys very much. I will see you later.